this work session to order. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 3, 2023, 9:03 a.m. This is our administrative work session.
Considering elbow room. So that to me is the bigger picture of what we're looking at. And then where then are the appropriate people? I think maybe 5 to start with, no more than 7 on board, because when you get bigger than that, and you really get, we need to establish some parameters, in my opinion, some baselines to see where can we start. Because one of the biggest issues is, where do we start? Where's the ability to get started with this, if any? We have to start somewhere, and it needs to be something that we can write out and at least have a plan to move forward on, and maybe amend it over time. And so I've thought about this, obviously. And I want to use the framework of the original draft. And then maybe this is something we take on the road and take around the county and get some other input on and see what other folks think. Because
Thank you. Yeah, and my comment is, I think it's really good. I always believed in staff your weaknesses. And if you've got a problem, bring experts to the table to try to get help on figuring out a challenge that you've got. So I believe it's a good idea to put together this board. I appreciate the structure that I think we're talking about, to find people who this is their world and they understand this world, and bring their expertise to the table. It's not the function of government to compete with the private sector, but we can help facilitate the private sector and to do what they're good at. And so that's our goal. Tom, you'd like to make a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make a statement, observation. The legislators in the Golden Dome did something correct.
yeah,
They created this statute to allow counties to utilize this. And I think it's a viable option to a housing authority, because there is no flavor for that. So
Exactly.
thank you for letting me add that.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
I would like to say, I think Commissioner Wissel was heading in the same direction I was going. We got to have a place to start. And the best way to have a place to start is to create a group of people that think they understand the problem. That is, they know there's a problem. They may not fully understand it, but want to work on trying to resolve it. And what I would hope is that the board would, once we get it set up, they would have an evening meeting in Lake George, an evening meeting in Guffey, and do what we call fact finding or stakeholder meetings, to where they would go out and meet with the communities to see what do people think. Affordable housing it's a term that I find it's difficult, because what is affordable? It depends upon how much money you make, in whatever county Jackson is in Wyoming. Their idea of an affordable housing is anything less than 1.2 million, because their average price is 2.7 million. So, what is the definition of an affordable house? Well, I look at it that I like using workforce housing rather than affordable housing as a term. I know it goes back, it's attainable, affordable, workforce. It's what I want to do is be able to provide what they refer to as the middle group that seems to be left out of all programs. Those that have a lot of money don't need a program. Those that don't have any money have the government getting involved with public housing and all of that. You've got this big group of people that want to work, but just can't survive in our area and in many areas because they cannot afford a house.
On the fourth whereas, or the second to last whereas, it reads, last sentence, well, it's a whole paragraph. Whereas the affordable housing shortage is detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of Park County residents, and the inability of such persons to reside near where they work negatively affects the balance between jobs and housing, and can have serious detrimental transportation. I would like to say transportation, comma, environmental consequences, comma, quality of life impact to those working in and wanting to live in Park County. Because I think that's one of the main focuses of this is we have sheriff's deputies who want to live here. They want to work here. We are grateful for anyone who wants to live and work in Park County and the businesses who want to establish.
No, I think that's, it gets into how much do you want to say? There are even more things you can put in, but I like those additions.
Okay, thank you. I just thought that kind of got to the heart of the challenge. All right, any other conversation or discussion? Mike, did you want to say something? No.
Good.
Okay. You're.
Recorded, and it's something we need, so.
Okay, all right.
Can we make a public comment?
Sure, come on up and,
Tom McGraw, Park County Sheriff. Yeah, I definitely appreciate Commissioner Elzer that y'all are going to try and do this. Commissioner Wissel supporting this big time. I have just a couple examples. I have a deputy right now that I have offered a position to. He's okay with the pay, which surprises me. But he lives in Benton County. He cannot find a place to live up here. He cannot afford the $2,500 a month rent with his family. He cannot afford the $9,000 required to lease the house. He can't afford it. So he's turned down our job offer. 5-year experienced deputy, and he won't come up. And that's what I'm getting all the time. I'm having deputies that are living way outside the county. I had a couple of nights ago, I had a situation where a deputy went home at 10 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock, he was back out for a domestic violence, and he had some mix up on the paperwork. He was tired. I cannot have that anymore. We've got to change things. The 2 reasons that people do not come to work in Park County is pay and housing. It is horrible. I look at the situation is that we don't have anybody moving to Park County that's going to be in our workforce. They move here for one of a couple reasons: to retire, or to buy a second home, or to buy an investment home, make it a short-term rental. I think we're just about done with our workforce that is here already living here. We don't have anybody new coming in. That is a huge problem. We have to get some housing that people can afford to move here and want to work in our community. It's a huge issue, and it's going to get worse and worse if we don't do something. So I think this idea is absolutely a great idea. We do have some property. I've been talking to Mr. Eisman about it. In back of the sheriff's office, there's 7 acres back there for sale. It is commercial, and I believe it is residential combined somehow. It's something that is in the future. We are eventually going to need a new sheriff's office, a new courthouse. It has the ability for housing back there. It's something that I would ask y'all to look at. I think it's listed for, Tom, what is it, 450 or 550,000? Somewhere right there, 7 acres. Butts up to the sheriff's office and to the road department. So it's something that a long-term investment, and maybe a couple acres for some housing units back there. I just think that we need to look at that stuff. We need to move forward, and this advisory board is a great way to go. The only thing I would suggest on it is let's move quickly. Let's not be the political stuff and let these things drag on for years before we do something on it. Let's get it going and have something happen quickly on it, because we need help big time. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
For your comment. All right, and Mike, you'll just let everybody in Zoom land know who you are.
Mike Smith, Director of Operations for Park County. So, and I should have made comments earlier, but wanted to get on the back of Tom McGraw. And as he was saying, we have employees in public works that currently don't have homes. They're relying on family members. They're relying on generosity of others. And so like Tom said, it's wages and the ability to live here. So it's really difficult. We've got people coming out of the Florissant and Woodland Park area to work. We've got people coming out of Jefferson County. The project manager I just recently hired is coming out of Jefferson County and meeting up to Park County. I think the other part of that is we need it to go relatively quickly, like Tom said. The issue that we're running up against is there's a lot of grants that we don't have access to as we're trying to redevelop the definitions for auxiliary dwelling units, for densification of residential. For there's a lot of aspects that we could really start moving forward with, and an advisory board to my development services department would be much appreciated.
We've beat this one pretty well to conclusion.
Yeah, this is something that affordable housing, and you could call it workforce housing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm supportive of this. It may surprise you on that, but I think we have to plan for something. We're in unanimity. We don't want the county to be landlords. I think we're fairly, very consistent on that opinion and philosophy. This problem is so wide and so diverse. I don't know. Well, we need to try and do what we can as a county government within the limitations of a county government. And this is one of those things we can do. So with that, I'd be supportive of this and see where we go.
I'd like to make a motion approving this. Again, with the idea that, yes, the county does not want to be landlords, but we have a lot of ways we can do this. So I'd make a motion to approve this resolution.
And may we make it with one
Oh, well,
modification,
Uh,
little change I put in there?
yes, we did
The work
discuss it
session.
and it will be in the new one. And basically it just, her modification expands the reasons. It's the fourth item down, transport.
Excellent. All right, and I guess I needed a resolution for,
23-26.
we need one for the next step with this housing task force is we will, of course, sign this resolution. Then we will put together a structure for the working mechanism.
Yeah, and my comment would be that don't sign up just if you think it'd be good. Sign up if you want to do work. There is a lot of work that goes into doing this. We would expect meetings throughout the county to, to get some input, and then, of course, meetings here, because it is a big problem.
Just one question. I'm John Mack. This advisory board for the housing, how are you going to put the request out? Is that going to go out on the website? Is that how it's done?
Well, we'll probably website, we'll have a notice in the flume. That'll be up to this lovely person in the back, Emmy. She is really good about getting the word out on everything. So yes, we'll have it as many places as we can so we can get as big of a cross section as we can.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. All right, anyone else like to make a comment? A consideration and or decision on the following items: approve or deny a resolution related to the Park County Affordable Housing Advisory Board members. We reviewed a resolution where we list the items, the qualifications for members. We discussed either 7 or 9 members. I think we should cap it at 9 and say minimum of 7.
Okay. I think that would be a good way to do that.
And so we'll see who steps up and who has time to do what they need to do.
Yes, and we, the resolution was pretty clear about who we're after. It's got some, I think, great people. We'll get that published, and that'll be something Emmy will get out on our website as soon as she can. We, at the chair's request, we added a third item, which I agree with, which basically specifies that once the members are chosen, their first order of business will be to come up with some bylaws and governance for the board that they will work on in conjunction with the county commissioners to identify what we think they should be doing and what they feel they should be doing as their governance.
Absolutely.
So I would make a motion that we approve the resolution concerning the Affordable Housing Board.
With that addition.
With that amendment. Yep.
Right. Okay, I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
2-7.
-27. Okay, very good.
And I will have that after the amendment, when the power goes on.
Okay.
For the chair to sign.
Okay, I will sign it as soon as I am able to, we are able to get a printed copy.
There you go.
The next thing on our agenda is a very interesting concept of our Housing Advisory Board. And is there any there? Is there a place for county government, Park County government in specifics, to enter into the underwhelming housing game? I'm going to defer in the near future to Commissioner Kimmer, because he's really looked at Prop 123, Prop 123 money, part of 123. There, 123.
Will tell you I'm not proficient in going through 123.
You know, 123, this board was all stimulated by 123. Figure out if there's there and 123.
123.
Also remind you that in October of 2023, Chairman Mitchell, at the time, you signed the ordinance that established the Housing Advisory Board. So I'm just concerned about that. And if we remembered that this was an action that you all took in late 2023.
Well, we can rescind that ordinance easy enough.
Yeah, and I agree with you. 123, and going forward with that proposition 123. 123.
Hi, yeah, this is Greg Johnson. I had to leave the boardroom because I thought you were doing the agenda item of discussing appointments to the Housing Advisory Board. It's changed to talking about 123 approving a housing development by the Elkhorn. This advisory board is to go through all of these problems that you see and then advise you on what is possible. Commissioner Gemmer, you are prohibiting this board from sitting and advising you. Again, you three have the sole discretion to do anything or not do anything the advisory board is telling you. I just wish you would do what your agenda is saying.
That's why we're having this discussion, sir.
Due to some difficulties in interpretation of some of the language problems presented in Proposition 123.
How Park County fits 123? One of the things we've discovered since our work session is that we have some resolutions where we have created a housing advisory board, and we may have been thinking it, at least I'll speak for myself, in the fact of the 123 board. but we created a housing advisory board that I think would require us to do a little more research and study on. And so with that, I would say that we would defer making formal announcements, but we may have a different vehicle than thinking about the 1, 2, 3 money, but do the original resolution. There's 2 of them that created a housing advisory board for more than just that purpose. Is we have expressed concerns about the ability of Park County to be able to participate successfully with the Prop 1, 2, 3 money. So if there's no objection, we'll just pass on that item.
I move that we table the Housing Advisory Board, any decision making along about that to a uncertain future date.
Proper motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A proper motion and second. This is just so that we can reevaluate these resolutions that Commissioner Mitchell found for us to look at, and we will hopefully schedule this for next week. I don't think it would be an issue for next week, or should be an issue for next week. Okay, with that, we'll call the question. Those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.